Recording is on.
Welcome to DXgov governance discussion for January 27th, 2021. Starting first with the proposal roundup. Actually, a little bit less proposals now than the last couple of weeks. We kind of cleared out a lot of those worker proposals. There's still two worker proposals in there, one from Dev Violet and one that's about to pass, I think, from Sky. I think maybe I should have passed. And then there is additional funding for Omen Squad. I think these proposals have actually just passed, but they have not been executed. So yeah, and then there is a new Mesa MVP worker proposal from Birdie that has just been boosted now. And that's all for like the main funding and voting power scheme. And then there is a DXgov market curation batch for Omen markets that has just been boosted. And then lastly, there is the multi-call scheme is just under 1 day away. It looks like 22 hours and 45 minutes from passing. So I don't know if anyone had any thoughts, comments on those on proposals live.
Yeah, hi everyone. So, what's up?
Aaron.
Hi, Aaron. Yeah, I hope that the Alchemy issue will be behind us in around 30 minutes, more or less. And yeah, this is one. We had kind of a crisis with the subgraph and with the graph, so we are on it.
Yeah, the Omen team had a similar crisis. So, like,
just to put it, sorry, Chris should have addressed. So some of the proposals have not been showing up. That's why they're another kind of. I think there's been one we know of from Keenan, and then I guess some of the other proposals. And so this is an issue with the graph, or something specific to Alchemy.
Yesterday it was an issue with the graph. Today it was issue with both our subgraph and the graph. I can maybe I will write kind of a summary of these events and what's happened and how we can mitigate that in the future. And but I will do that after the storm will pass. Okay. Currently, what you need to make sure that you need to understand that currently Alchemy is not displaying right information.
Yeah, and this is a kind of
the subgraph will be resynced. The issue is like it's take us few hours in order to resync the subgraph on mainnet. Actually, we had a fix a while ago, but it's taking a long time to resync it. Right?
Yeah, and just this is just for the current right now. This is obviously like a potential attack vector, specifically if for like boosted proposals, because there could be proposals that are boosted at the smart contract level and then voted on at the smart contract level without anyone being aware of it. So I don't know if there's a way for us to track separately the boosting.
You're absolutely right about that. But yeah, and this is the reason we have proposal bots which monitor the proposal beneath the subgraph. We have our own DAO stack bots, and I know that you have your own bot which reports to Keybase. And yes, but I think it's all good because anyhow it's like it takes 7 or 16 days, 14 days to proposal to pass. So all good. And yeah. And I also want to say a word about the multi-call proposal that's going to be approved tomorrow, right? By tomorrow. So yeah, I think we spoke about it last week or last time I've been here. But yeah, we need to be, in general, we need to be, alert using this scheme. You are the first one who's actually using that on production. Tomorrow we're going to have a dedicated session with the Alchemy team and with the DXgov team, just focusing on this scheme. Also looking on the governance setup of this scheme and trying to figure out if there is a way to improve it, like low-hanging fruit, improving the UI, improving and any issue we will find. So maybe you guys can join the effort as well. Just report on any weird issue that you are seeing.
Sounds good. Yeah, Oren, let's, I've been thinking we should have a call to kind of get people updated. So there are a few scripts that are run to monitor proposals, right? So there's a private one run by DAOstack. That's kind of the OG one. There's the one in Keybase that Nico put together that everybody can see in the security channel. There's also, in addition to that, a script that was written by Augusto, and this can be run locally, right? So it does not depend on the graph, right? So I think it's time, we've had a lot of people working on this stuff and discussing it from early on, but I think with new folks and stuff, it's time to kind of refresh on the security practices. And absolutely, this is should be on top of everybody's mind. Bad security could make all of this kind of moot, right? If we fuck up here, it's game over and we all go home. So this should be number one on everybody's mind, and people should make sure that resources are getting allocated to it. I want to set up a call. Let's set up a call tomorrow. Oren, if you can make it, that would be great.
Okay.
Is there any way that so I guess those scripts, there's no other way that we could manually check it? Is someone, going through Etherscan, reading or writing, checking calling a contract there, just as
there is a way to manually check it with this script. So locally, you can run it on your machine. And I think what we need to do is we just need to get more organized about how we are monitoring these things. I think we have the basic infrastructure in place. We just need to get more organized, and so that's why I think we should have a dedicated call for it.
Yeah, Big Power, you are. This is your real name, Powers, or what?
It's my last name.
Your last name. Okay.
Yeah. I like it.
I think you are right. We can also look on the contract and Etherscan and try to understand what's going on there. There's all the contracts are verified, and you can look on the events. You can look on the transactions. If you have the knowledge, you can really understand what's going on. And also, I would like to say that Etherscan is nice, but Etherscan is also not something we should totally trust on, right? Because Etherscan is also a centralized entity. So we can look on other sources as well, along with Etherscan.
Yeah, and I think this does highlight not just with Alchemy, but in general, the vulnerability that front ends introduce and relying on certain front ends because we're kind of beholden to them. So I think some of the discussions about having redundancy, front end redundancy through different versions, I think is a good idea precisely for these type of moments.
So you have the security channel on Keybase, which I think, even if something we could consider doing is maybe reviewing everything that's on there, weekly, maybe in the weekly call or the governance call. It will show you basically all the open proposals and what's their state. So you can see if anything is not appearing or something doesn't look right.
Right, but just because there's a security channel that spits out information does not make us secure in and of itself, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a monitoring. I guess it's a monitoring tool, and we'll have to use it. Like we'll have to actively monitor.
Exactly. Nico, does the security channel use the subgraph? Is that correct, or does it go?
Nope. It's actually using the direct blockchain data and running its own node. So it's actually not depending on inferior as well. It's not using the graph.
Good. That's good. Yeah, I mean, in addition to this, Gus is not on the call right now, but his voting DApp does not use the graph, and that's actually going to help us as well with something like that. So, like I said, the infrastructure is there. There's no need to like panic. We just need to be more organized, and everybody should take it seriously. So, like, it's good. Everybody should be a little scared about this because that's the way we're going to maintain security.
Yeah, I think the first good step is to make sure that all the devs are going to run those scripts on like daily basis. And then we like reach out once we have all the devs knowledgeable about the scripts to make sure that we're actually like improving this process for like normal for other people, for other worker areas, just to make sure that they are like everyone should be able to check what kind of proposals are active right now, not only the developers.
Yeah, I actually was not in the security channel, and I just joined that. So I think it's a nice, it's good to have them. Okay, any other thoughts on this, or any like kind of the live proposals now? I guess we will, as this gets resolved, that'll kind of affect how we're voting on things. But any thoughts on the current batch? I guess the multi-call scheme is going to presumably pass in a day. So I don't know if there's anything. I think that's another potential vulnerability in regards to this, and so I don't know if there's anything that we're thinking about in that.
Yeah, multi-call is new and experimental, but there are kind of precautions here. Like there's a whitelist of contracts that it can interact with, all of which were like, either audited by us or just kind of general utilities like the ENS. In addition to that, it's limited. There's like you can't send funding or mint reputation through a multi-call scheme. That's intentional, right? Like so, it's kind of isolated where it was, and we're not doing anything new there. So it's more like let's see how it works, get used to it. It's going to be a little bit tricky for people who are not familiar with what's going on to like make proposals for some of these things or to really process them. So it's going to have to be kind of like dev oriented for a couple of these things, and it passing is going to allow us to do a few things that are going to each kind of require a little bit of effort, right? Like first thing is pausing the bonding curve. Second thing is issuing trades on Gnosis protocol relayer. So like, making trades from the treasury from like ETH to stablecoins, et cetera. And the third thing is depositing liquidity into Swapper. And so, we should get together. It's not clear exactly who would be working on those, Chris, but maybe we should also get a little organized on kind of putting these things together, because also these things are probably going to need to be done at a regular cadence. It's almost like there's like Treasury Management itself is almost like a department, right? Like we have a lot of money in the Treasury, and it requires some kind of care to actually do a lot of this stuff. So we might want to think about kind of who's responsible there and allocating resources for that.
One other thing that we haven't been able to test on the multi-call on XDAI is like the whitelist. So immediately we should like test whether or not only whitelisted contracts can use the multi-call, right? Like we should try to use a different contract. I don't even know if that's possible, but like we haven't been able to test that because that doesn't exist anywhere.
Yeah, there's like a special feature on XDAI. It's currently non-whitelisted. So actually on XDAI, you can interact with any kind of contract. That's a special feature on XDAI. That is obviously deactivated on mainnet. So we should test it on mainnet once it has been activated, since tomorrow. Elon, that's at least how I remember that it's configured on XDAI, right?
Yeah, XDAI does not have a whitelist, and mainnet has a whitelist, but we don't know if the whitelist actually functions. So we should test that, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, it just as John said, is a wake-up call in a lot of ways, and I think it shows why operating slow is kind of have its benefits. So we can kind of talk about it. I guess the two things I'm hearing as the takeaway here are we think we need to have like a security update or maybe meeting around some of these things that we're doing and try to codify them or organize them a bit. And then second, specifically, I think on the treasury management aspect of that, because I think we are going to be using, or there's going to be a lot more outflow of funds from the treasury as it looks to diversify and as we provide liquidity on Swapper, even as we introduce guilds to the process. So we're no longer just be having these like 5 to 10 ETH withdrawals from the treasury. And I think figuring out how we have a better system on that is a good idea, and thinking about the structure on that, because it's obviously going to be part of the proposal process, but I think we should be having something specific to the treasury components. Cool. Yeah. Okay. And then moving on to the contributor guidelines that we've been putting together. There were two things that I wanted to tee up here. Martin had provided, I think, some helpful feedback because he's kind of going through this process here. And so I think one that we need to get some type of codify this in the contributor guidelines, I think, is the precise amount of pricing for the DXD compensation. So I think we've been talking about this before about the DXD to ETH, the latest DXD to ETH price on the bonding curve in dollar terms. I think that is that the spirit of that is to get at when the last fundraising came into DXDAO to make sure that that's kind of the maximum there. Although that could run into some problems if people just like sent a little bit of ETH into the bonding curve to kind of raise the price. And obviously when we're going to shut down the bonding curve in the next couple of weeks here, we'll need to have some like system for calculating that. I think for the time being, we should agree on on the DXD all-time high as a way to price this. So presumably the all-time high is getting at the same spirit of the high from the DXD ETH price on the bonding curve, which I think was occurring around the same time. I think it was early September. So we could use, I think, CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap for that. But I think there has been some hesitancy for some different proposals on what exactly the price for DXD is. And I think it's important that we have some regularity there. I don't know if we want to just going forward from now use the all-time high in order to price DXD, or whether that's a short-term fix. But I think at least for the time being, we should use the DXD all-time high as a way to price that. So any thoughts on this? And I think we probably need to word it specifically in dollar terms, Keenan. We need to word it specifically in the contributor guidelines. I'm trying to find. I think it is in there already, but I think we should just be much more explicit with it's the all-time high using this source, just because that creates some clarity. Pulp, I don't know if you had.
Yeah, no, I updated it after seeing Martin's comments to reflect that, and just wanted to confirm that's what everyone else wanted to do. Yeah, and it says and I'll put a link, but to CoinGecko.
What about past DXD proposals that used higher than that price, probably? I think people have been using higher than that price, right? For a while now.
Yeah, I mean, I
It's
would
been
be,
a couple months, right? It's been since basically since ETH broke 500, which was what, in December or something like that.
yeah, because like October would have, even
Yeah.
October, even though it was at 1.02 DXD per ETH, I think like ETH was still at like, was not at a high enough amount where it would surpass, the DXD number would surpass the dollar terms. So I think it would have only been, yeah, as Jean was saying, like November or December on that. I think we should be consistent here and have kind of the same things, but we need to like have specifics on like the documentation of like what each of those were. And I think once we have like an anchor with the CoinGecko price all-time high, which is, you know, centralization, a little centralized, but that's like a reliable thing, then I think it should be pretty easy for anyone to like show how past proposals were maybe not as much DXD, but I think it should only be like the last month or two.
And just on this note, like the payroll DApp that we're working on with BlockRocket would handle all this for people, and people wouldn't have to worry about checking the price and that kind of thing.
As I know, famous or dangerous question, is there an ETA on that? So for people considering whether or not to do that now, if it's like within the next month,
I wouldn't let it hold up any worker proposals. Yeah, we need to. BlockRockets should be starting this week, and I think they had put like an ETA a couple of weeks on their work, but we got to audit it, launch it. You know, things take time, so I wouldn't hold up anything.
Cool. And then the other thing that was on the wanted to and then the proposal process for the worker trial period. And so I think the way it reads now, where we've been talking about this, would be that the first trial period proposal for 2 weeks that we've agreed on that time period, that would actually just go to DAO Talk first, rather than actually submitting a proposal on Alchemy. And then at the end of that 2 weeks, then the additional proposal, the actual Alchemy proposal would come through, which would include the time from the 2 weeks. And then that would go through the formal proposal process there. Obviously, there would need to be some type of like reassurance or some consensus that we want to engage with the initial trial period. So you could imagine someone, I think, posting on DAO Talk that they want to start, that they're going to start their trial period, and then I think we need to have like some confirmation from maybe a squad leader or some other DXDAO member that's like, yes, this trial period is going to start for the next 2 weeks, but we wouldn't have any formal approval by governance system until the formal proposal was initiated after conclusion of the trial period, which would be for the 2 months there. I think that was the discussion. So Pulp, did that describe what we were trying to do? And
I think that was accurate. The only thing that Martin and I kind of discussed a little bit in the comments was, I think the simplest way to do this is, I think pretty much what we've all been doing is, new people come on to a meeting and introduce themselves, and everyone says, oh, this person's going to be a worker. They're going to be doing X, Y, and Z. They're starting the trial period now. And then after the 2 weeks, that's when, everything goes well, assuming they put their post on DAO Talk, and then if it gets approved, on Alchemy. And that would be for 2.5 months of work. And and one other thing we did do the poll. Thanks everyone who participated. And it looks like we actually had a majority, which is nice, for just the 2 months after the 2 week trial period of doing 80% pay for that time. So that would be what folks are going to get paid for their first 2.5 months. It's 50% for the 2 week trial period, and then 80% of full pay for the following 2 months.
cool. And Martin, just to update you, because we were just talking about some of the things, your suggestions on the proposal process. So we did agree to use the CoinGecko all-time high, and we'll just kind of be explicit with that in there. 1, and then 2, on the proposal process, it will start the initial trial period. Worker scope will actually occur on DAO Talk, right? And then we'll have after that 2 weeks, then you'll actually submit a formal proposal there. Yeah. You're muted.
Yeah, I missed. I was like doing all stuff. Yeah, that's and one thing was like about the perp. I don't know. For me, the formulation, how it's written, how you get the not perp, how you get rep, it's unclear. For me, as a non-native, to only get 100 full-time workers rep or also part-time workers.
Yeah, this is a good point. I think I can't remember where exactly it is, but I think like anyone that's working for DXDAO should get rep in some amounts, not just full-time workers. And I think like just taking the proportionate amount that you're working and getting paid for in monetary compensation, just taking that same percentage and applying it to the rep amount, I think makes sense. But I think in the document, it was a little unclear if it only applied to full-time workers.
Yeah, I agree. We can just put something in saying, if you're working 20 hours a week, 50% of what we're giving full-time workers, 30 hours a week, just do a pro rata math on that, and that should be it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, onboarding, I had like first-hand experience. I sent this sheet to the people, and some of them really got it, and they tried to reflect it on the proposal, but it's not so easy. It's not so easy.
Yeah, there's a lot of steps.
It's still complicated in a way, but it's the way it is. I think as a guideline, it's perfect, and people can just do it different. And I think the DXgov has room enough to be, like if somebody is like doing it different, then we'll have some feedback, and then we change it if it's not good. But yeah. It's just that I do it a little different on board because I'm really try to get people in, and it looks like I failed with Ali. It blew up in a way. I tried to get him working for us, but it didn't work out. I tried my best, and in a way, it's good. Now we found out that for him it's not going to work, but I think in a way it's better if people just start at some point doing contributions on some tickets and then do the second step in a way. But I tried to get my team together, and so I'm doing really focus to a trial or 2 tasks at the start because it takes too long in a way. But we will see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider that a failure, Martin. Like, I think in my experience, people expect a wide range of things from like their workplace, and there's a big difference between working at like an established large corporation and being at a startup. And I think what we're doing is more like a startup and maybe even a little crazier in some ways. So it's crypto and things are volatile, and we're distributed and all this other stuff that's kind of unique challenges for what we're doing. And it's not going to be for everybody, so I wouldn't beat yourself up about it.
Yes, it's okay.
I'm still waiting.
Yeah, I agree, Martin. As someone who's like who's leading some kind of team, and I think we have a different role here. Like, we actually can't demand. We need to be like very respectful with our workers, and if the other side is just saying like I'm not interested, and then like what can we do, right?
Yeah.
They just say no, and then it's like, okay, that's totally fine.
At the same point I said now, I did invest a lot of time and to hold his hand and try to find some work from him. And I had many calls with him, like 3, one-to-one calls. And I did see that he's like, I didn't get what really his take is and what is like, what he's struggling with. But yeah, it's the way it is. But in a way, I also, I had another talk today with a really fresh level 1 guy, and in this one, I had a really different complete. I
Yeah,
think,
so
yeah, you can trust the feelings you have if you do it. It's the best way. Yeah.
I think maybe it would be worth to ask Ali, like why, and just so we can have some feedback. I just saw his proposal like in the forum, and then he flagged his own proposal, which is kind of weird.
Yes,
So
but did you see in the DX in the chat? There's a screenshot of his like.
He provided ample feedback.
Yeah, but I started reading it, but it was like
Yeah.
not feedback. It was like I don't really understand what's
I don't
relevant.
know. He's like it looks like for me he's a very high IQ guy, but he can manage the messy world in a way. It's messy out there, and we are a startup. We try to get things done, and we are not building. We don't try to build to go to the moon, and we just try to get products done. And it's not about perfect engineering. And anyway, that's
We need people who are self-starters and comfortable in kind of, like you said, this sort of messy environment, right?
yes.
If that's not what you're looking for, like this is not going to be a good place for you to work.
Yeah.
And
of
that's
course.
just.
So in a way, it's great he failed now, because otherwise down the road would be.
can you tag me maybe? I just want to read the comment.
We can forward you the.
Yeah.
You'll
Let
have
me
to
know if you
reserve,
get through.
about 10 minutes to read it. But, you know,
Okay.
No, it's not
That's
worth
why-
time in a way.
That's why like level ones, level twos, I see them as like a potential like if they are like self how do you say, like on their own, and they learn how to work with the DXO, I think they're like way more important longer term for the DXO, because they learn how to work with the DXO, and like they are thriving because they don't have bosses who tell them all the tasks they need to do, but actually like caring about the project. Like I saw to not like Milan is one good example. He started as like a level 1, level 2, needed to get into React, but he proved like very quickly to like understand the DXDAO, the purpose of it, that it's actually DAO, and then like he got completely into it, and now he's like he's a very important player in the Oman Guild. And I think, yeah, searching for level 5s who have like shit tons of messy world experience is also the other side of the things, right? They are like completely Fiverr like, give me task guys. Like it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I think it's very important that people have the right mindset, because the other thing you can just learn, but the social part of it you have to manage for yourself in a way to get into the DXDAO. And
Yeah, I was going to say both of what, just to kind of close this up, I was going to say both of what Geronimo and Martin said. It's like, one, there are trade-offs to this. Like whatever we're constructing, it's not going to be for everyone, but like that's fine. We just need to, acknowledge the trade-offs and move forward. And I think for me, it's all about, you have to get it, right? We only want people to get it. And like, I don't really know what it is in a way, but it's like everything that we're kind of doing here, and you have to understand it and like be into it. And I think we should all try to be good at evaluating whether or not people get it very quickly, and then we can kind of move on, because it's just not worth our time if people like don't get it, because you won't really, lots of things. So
yeah, not only evaluating, but also like even if we're getting burned all the time, I think we should still, like, if someone's going to the introduction chat, we need to make sure we're shilling the shit out of us, right? Like, even if we're getting burned, we should still be very positive and making sure that they have the chance to get in. Sounds like a religion, but it is like this.
I'm happy I took the extra steps with what's his name, the newest guy, Fury. Like I was afraid of my past experience, and I got burned too much, and I saw all the patterns, and it was clear to me like, hey, maybe I shouldn't like put energy on this, but I did, and I actually went like really far and talked to his old boss, and everything was good. It looked good, and hopefully like we get something out of that. But I think, it's
Yeah. I will have a call with him tomorrow, I guess.
that's good. So I mean, I don't know. In this, like we are doing something that is really hard. First of all, we're like onboarding people the same day they talk to us or whatever it is we're doing, and it's obviously in even on the normal companies, it takes time. You can't just we don't just have stuff prepared for 0-day people. They need to be onboarded.
You know, on the start was like fun and I liked it, but now it's like, it started to turn like I still have to do it, and now maybe I have more experience now, but the main goal is to have a team, and afterwards I will shift it to somebody else, onboarding people, if I have a team.
I mean, not only shifting, but kind of trying to.
But in a way, it's
not
very good because I have now like some experience doing it, and then I just move to if I have fulfill my needs for the team, I will maybe I think I will stop it for some times because I have to concentrate on the project and not.
Right. Like the question is, can we mitigate ourselves getting burned by finding like ways to allow people to still get it, like Chris said, right? They just need to get it what we are and then get into it. And like we need to get those quizzes going and like bounties, and like they need to find easy ways to like, okay, this is a spec, I just need to code it down, easy. And then I like need to go through the manifesto and get those answers in to like start talking. And I think those ways, like we need to find ways to not get burned, because Martin, you don't actually want to do, and I accept that. But the others, we still need to like try to continue and to like be very open.
I think it's different if you find somebody who is like doing it from time to time, then he has like his own style, and also he's not really, for me it's also like a distraction. And if somebody else it's more his task doing this stuff, then would be more easy because this person is more neutral in a way. And
I think it would be a good thing if we maybe, I don't know if it's good now, it's good timing, but we should get like some kind of HR person that is also like a recruiter or can like maybe like find people.
Venki did send me a direct message. I think he's and he thinks there's maybe some time in February to work on this. So I have to ask back if he's interesting.
Yeah, Venki gets it. Like he's trying to do, like he's really trying to get in, and I think we need to make sure he's probably on board. Like he worked on Omen landing page already. He's a DXL member now.
Yeah, I mean,
we should try to get him into.
Venki went to me, I think, early, and I actually said no to him, and I'm sorry, Venki, but like for Swapper, it was a no, and I'm super happy you went through and continued like fighting for your position.
But I think he's not here. Is he here? Venki, are you here? No.
Violet.
Oh, it's Violet. Yeah. He can listen to the recording later.
Yeah. Anyway, I think he may be interested. Maybe I just ask him again or somebody.
Yeah.
But we want that kind of people, like, right? So Venki didn't just like, hey, I want that job. If I don't get it, bye-bye. Like if he was really interested in the DAO and like stayed, even if he get one no, like that's super, super good for us.
Yeah, definitely. One follow-up question. I just looked over everything regarding the guidelines, and the only remaining thing that Martin brought up, and we've talked about it before, but just want a final confirmation on, is if you max out on rep, like some of our some folks have, do we want to offer DXD as an alternative when you're no longer able to receive rep through your worker compensation?
I myself, I think it's not good to have like this May style writing, because in a way, somebody who is like maxed out the rep, maybe he comes later and tells us, yeah, you know, I didn't get rep at this time, so can I have it now? And I think we should clarify this.
Right.
Because it may produce some problems in the future and I think it's, yeah.
Right. So you mean the idea that someone doesn't request DXD when they've maxed out on rep and then later on say, hey, I never got the DXD, I never requested. Yeah. So we can either say, you know, there's this, you are, you know, you receive this amount of DXD, or we just say you max out on rep and, you know, that's it. How do people feel about that? It was something that was, I kind of just grandfathered in from the previous guidelines for worker compensation that we had written in there, but it doesn't seem like anyone's opted to use it yet. So maybe it's just more complicated.
In a way, there are only two, Geronimo, I think, or John have like maxed out. I don't know.
Right, and Geronimo.
Me and Geronimo are the only ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to.
Well, one solution comes with Gov 2.0 where people can continue earning rep for lots of different things, which is their reputation, but their voting is capped at 4%. So that would be a good way to like keep, maybe on a side ledger, keep track of some of the rep that people it's passing by them or that they're not accumulating. Because if we don't have a way to cap their vote now, but in the future we hopefully will, and they've still earned this reputation for contributions to DXDAO.
Okay, I think that sounds great. I think then I'll just remove the language for now. We'll put a pin in it once we're more finalized on Gov 2.0. Right.
So that's one path. The other, because it is like getting DXD, which is financial reward, in place of rep, and we've moved away from like the financial value of rep, other than maybe rep will get DXD like distribution in the future or something like that. We don't currently have a dollar value of rep, so giving DXD or ETH instead of rep does seem a little weird. We have done it in the past, but I don't think we're going down that path. But keeping track of the rep contributed still makes sense.
Right. Well, now and also DXD will have managerial voting power rights in the future. So in a way, you are getting some voting power by receiving DXD. Just to kind of flip that for future stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think it's okay to have an open moment here, though, about, you know, if people are working and they should be rewarded for their work. I think we kind of talked about this briefly yesterday about like some forms of, you know, proposal rewards and stuff like that with DXD. This kind of fits into that same category, just because you've been, you know, continuing to work for or contribute, you know, and being paid by the DAO doesn't mean you should stop receiving some sort of additional compensation. But we also have the salary, you know, scale in place right now. So maybe we just leave that to something like, once I know Chris is thinking about source cred as a potential avenue for us as far as rewarding work done instead of something like this, you know, capped on rep, here's DXD thing.
Yeah, John mentions NFTs. So there are actually some other ecosystems in the DeFi space who are thinking about, like, for example, like well-known devs who have the dev knowledge, they get a certain NFT, which makes them like a dev expert in that ecosystem. And then there are certain proposals and things that only people with those like knowledge NFTs can propose. So I know right now we have an open ecosystem, but it maybe with Gov 2.0 or DX Vote, there could be scenarios where NFTs, like you earn, in addition to rep, you earn a special badge NFT, and that gives you some ability to make a decision on some vertical or topic that other people can't, like maybe initiate the that proposal. So it really allows specialization. And there's other DeFi ecosystems doing that, apparently, I think.
Yeah, I mean, then it's really cool when you think about compensation from DXDAO. It's like you get paid in money, dollars, ETH, whatever you want to say, DXD. this thing rep, which is non-transferable, and then like NFTs, right? In some ways, so I don't know. It's just kind of cool to think of the possibilities on that. I think it does kind of introduce some flexibility and maybe attract some different people. So,
right. I think that's a cool idea as far as I think even attracting people that aren't full-time contributors potentially to be able to do like a proposal or something like that in their specialty, especially if they're holding DXD or one of our other tokens, to kind of feel like they have like more management responsibilities within the DAO. I think that could be the most useful place for it.
cool. Yeah, I just want to keep moving on. Next, I want to talk about the Omen Guild, as there's a fire truck coming down my street now. So Geronimo, I don't know if you want to kick off here on, I guess this is kind of like, what's the governance structure of a potential Omen Guild? So there was the post about introducing an Omen token, but like, how exactly does that governance stack look? Does it look like DAO Stack? Does it look like one of the other systems? So you want to kick us off on what you're thinking?
Yeah, like you already said, we have actually two paths forward, right? We have developed a DXD guild contract, which could be an alternative. This would mean we would go the liquid token governance route. What I'm more conservative, and would actually try to convince everyone that we should use a DAO stack clone with the ability to allow people to lock Omen tokens in 1 year or 2 year contract, which allow them to receive rep throughout the time period. And yeah, there are several reasons why I think a DAO stack clone is a safer path forward for us. The interesting part is if we're actually implementing governance 2.0, we need to make sure that the guild itself will transition into the governance 2.0 structure too. So, and another interesting idea with that would be that we could actually try to transition the guild first to see the impact of it, and then hopefully see positive results out of it, and then we could transition the DXDAO itself into governance 2.0. So that's the first point. And yeah, it's more importantly for us, we established the brand about non-transferable voting power in combination with a revenue sharing token model, because we believe liquid token governance is not resilient enough, and it's just actually bad. That's my personal view. And if we would give up that with the guilds, we would lose a little bit of our brand and our culture of how to govern. So that's my point of view in terms of why we should and the third point, actually, my goal with the guild was to not have a stupid guild which is just for publicity. My goal is that the guild is doing things way better than the DXDAO can, because the DXDAO is a slow cockroach, and the guild needs to be the guild's job is to make Omen successful, and it can be done because it has way smaller treasury, so it doesn't require crazier time to pass proposals. It needs to be flexible. It needs to move fast for Omen. And with that, I think DAO stack is still the most capable to deliver everything quickly, because we are professionals in the DAO stack system. We know how to deal with DXDAO. We know how to operate on several networks. And it would be easier for us to use the DAO stack system.
I would describe this as basically the selection of the governance framework for the Omen Guild. What are we going to use? And there's, I think a DAO Stack's kind of an obvious possibility. ERC20 Guild is maybe another. I think there's a few dimensions on like how to think about this. I think the one that we should be answering now is like, what does the DXDAO community expect, like from a governance perspective? Like, what are we holding ourselves to on like how this kind of like at a high level should work? I think in addition, we should also do like a technical evaluation, almost do like a trade study on like how the two would work from things like gas costs and stuff like that. But we can do that separately when we have the time. I think the important thing right now is like, what, like Geronimo was saying, like he's being conservative, we should stick with non-transferable governance rights. Like, is that what we want? I think maybe a third dimension is like, what do we think the wider community, market, et cetera, would want and react to based on things, but I don't really know how to assess that. But yeah.
Yeah. So like we had internal calls like John and Sky, and John actually like pitched the idea about using just like ERC20 guilds, and like first we need to know how like technically on par is it with a proper DAO stack clone, which can actually do like everything what the DXDAO can, but better for Omen. And that's something we actually need to find consensus and like hopefully very soon, because we need to move forward. We need to execute on the Omen guilds. Right. I
guess like a meta question to kind of like maybe kind of gets at the gut of the issue here is like, is non-transferable voting like important at the guild level? And then another like nuance to this is we're moving towards governance 2.0, right? Even at the high level. So like our current system for DXDAO isn't really like a complete system. That's what we want governance 2.0 for. So I mean, that's another thing to consider.
I want to add here that, because there is like governance 2.0 stuff, the Omen Guild should like experiment with stuff. And, in this case, it's kind of giving Omen token holders the ability to gain reputation from locking it, which is this an experiment. Maybe Omen will do, maybe a swapper guild will do a different experiment. And yeah, I think like all of these experiments, we will learn things for governance 2.0.
Yeah, 100%. Like I would even go further and say we will learn it for the DXDAO itself. Like what we need to make sure is that we allow the guild to say hello to the world with like complete open arms, and not like we will still probably do like a clone just to have like this backup rep and zombie rep with us. But what we need to make sure is like I would expect we should do like a 70-80% new minted rep, just to make sure that like all the Omen token holders have the chance like to actually take ownership of it, and not to like present it as like, oh, this is another DXDAO rep controlled thing. Like we need to completely say, okay, this needs to go out, primarily because the DXDAO still has set the boundaries to where the guild can move and how it operates, so we can let it go and allow the Omen token holders to like, okay, this is our place now. And like we need to, of course, talk to the DXDAO, but at the end of the day, they are like free to do whatever they think is the best for the Omen product and platform. So I actually think we should be aggressive, and like with that, we see how it is to do this like huge minted rep and see how this guild will evolve.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think it would be nice to kind of turn our experiment a little bit on its head and see when you really give, we've seen it but you still have some form of rep, and there's a locking mechanism, and we can use some of the formulas that we're still planning on using for governance 2.0 to allow the Omen token holders to fully control Omen.
And would you picture like this either way getting upgraded to like the governance 2.0, like assuming governance 2.0 meets its promise and it's like a kind of solves the problems we want? It's almost like whatever we pick now for Omen Guild? Like eventually it gets upgraded, right? Probably. I'm not 100% sure that makes sense. But.
Yeah, I guess before upgrading DXgov, we will be upgrading the Omen Guild, right?
Well, I think we need a governance system for the Omen Guild before any like governance 2.0 system is put into place. Because I mean, I think we would like to have some governing system for Omen and the Omen token guild sometime in the next couple months.
In the next couple of weeks, we could like I'm naive again, but like
Geronimo, I'm
also,
going to start tracking how many times you
wait.
delivery day around.
Like,
I'm going to start keeping score.
What we can do, and I think that is definitely like the right way, is separating the roadmap for the guild and the Omen token, because the Omen product actually needs the guild to be better. So we like install the guild without the token first, and then we like open it up and have it operational, functional, with all the tasks already available, because we need to curate markets, we need to curate tokens, and like several other things. So we need to set up the system, and then we open it up with the token. So my point was like, if we say right now we want to keep the rep Omen, the rep-based governance, then we could move ahead with having a clear deliverable regarding how the Omen guild should be installed. And that could help us for the Omen product, because we already could like start installing the connections to the product with the guild.
Yeah, so there's a pretty high chance that a lot of the Omen guild activity could actually be taking place on XDAI, and that will be related to Omen on XDAI, and that will be related to maybe worker payments to Omen guild worker contributors on XDAI. So it will be that alone is another experiment. Like if 90% of the activity Omen guild does is on XDAI and it's using like rep initially, that could move very quickly, and that is you'll get to see what like Alchemy and rep, how it works with like a larger community on XDAI in an active product.
100%. Like I actually even expect that the guild will kind of start on XDAI and then do like a lot of operational tasks, because I hope Omen will be successful on XDAI in the next weeks. So they will be like the guilds can do great stuff for the Omen platform, and So
So if I understood Pulp's point correctly, talking about turning kind of the current model on its head, right? Kind of like approaching it from the other end, where if you say like we kind of have an incomplete system now, and rep holders have all the power, well, we could do Omen Guild and give like the token holders all the power. Is that kind of what you were saying?
Yes,
okay.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah. Because if that is the consensus, then I would think it would make sense to give a good look at the ERC20 guilds that we're building anyways, and see how that compares from a technical perspective to Alchemy.
Right, but there's a small caveat here, right? Like we could also kind of make sure that the Omen token holders can properly get ownership with a rep-based system too, right? Like we could even say, okay, this locking contract for 2 years will mint 100% new rep. And we can even make sure that like on initial rep state, it is not only the DXgov rep state right now, but we could make sure that API 3 is getting some say in it. Gnosis is getting some say in rep. So we could actually like make the initial rep state grow and make us smaller to make sure that the other teams are actually like getting rep ownership of it. And that is like not possible with the ERC20 guild, which is purely liquid token governance.
Yeah, I think it's so cool that like we're talking about different governance structures that like DXDAO is experimenting, and that we can like plug and play them right now. I think it does speak a lot to like the governance capabilities that we're developing, that like as we launch this new thing, it's like, well, we've done this in the past, we've considered this, like which is the best. The way I kind of, think what we're doing with governance 2.0, like, and we were talking about this yesterday in the call, that this is like maybe a model for other ones to emulate in the long term, but there will be lots of different adjustments that they'll probably want to make to the different components. But just as like a broad level of like how to try to like combine those two, I think maybe it's a model for those. But I think with DXDAO, like the existing or the model that we're trying to build towards is very much dependent on DXDAO's experience with distributing rep 2 years ago and like launching a DXDAO fundraiser DXD fundraiser the way it did. Like those are like the extenuating circumstances that make it like a very, I guess, path dependent way. And I think with Omen, then we have to be considering, okay, we're launching Omen Guild and we're launching it, and what are the like conditions